Well,
Why?
I don't.
I clicked go
Yeah,
live. Why is
I
it?
don't see us live here on my phone.
Yeah, I don't either.
There it
Oh,
goes.
no, now I do.
Welcome everyone to
Okay.
Haven of Horror. I don't know why OBS didn't go live when I hit go live, but we've got Torgo and the Day Ghost. The Day Ghost is back after our best and worst of
Yeah, you missed
2020.
our wonderful banter.
Our best and worst of 2022. I'm excited to do that again at the end of this year. Get the three of us together. Torgo's got to watch more movies though. He's only seen like 6, but
You only
you
seen
know,
like
Shit.
half.
I'll
yeah.
catch up.
One.
I'll catch up. Don't worry.
But we are back, and this is the Day Ghost's first Shutter Shuffle. I'm pretty sure.
No,
That's
I
not
didn't.
true.
I didn't realize.
That he was here for I know he was here for Cabinet of Caligari. Maybe something else
Was
as
that
well.
a Shutter Shuffle?
Oh
Yeah, it was. Because that was one of my picks.
Isn't that a movie where you guys were both like, 1 star, and I gave it 5?
No, I
No,
really
you
liked
guys
it.
were pretty into it. I was just kind of like, it's okay.
That movie's a masterpiece. I think about it on a daily basis.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just need to see it again.
Get
But we're here to
cultured.
do something very different than the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and that is the Color Out of Space. Or no, it's just Color Out of Space. Sorry.
Yeah, just color out
Yeah.
of space, you fucking hack.
A H.P.
A lore.
Lovecraft adaptation. Austin, you've seen this probably more than anyone else here. I've seen it 3 times.
I feel like I've seen it about that, maybe 4.
Did you
Maybe
watch
4
it
times.
again tonight, or did you just are you
Yes.
going on? Okay.
No, I did because it's been at least over a year, I think. So I had to
Yeah.
rewatch it.
For me, this movie gets better each time I see it. I feel.
I have some of that.
And then you also read the short story. So before we get into kind of just our general thoughts about the movie, because I'm this is mostly me just being. How does this stack up? How does this movie stack up to the story?
Well, the main thing is it's obviously more visual. Well, the Lovecraft story is almost more like an essay where it's just him kind of telling you the story. But it is from the perspective of a guy investigating the water in the area, and it's like that's still there. Some of the stuff in the movies taken straight out of the short story, like you have their crops start growing like way more fruits and vegetables than they did prior. The thing with the mom is like really creepy in the book, but it's something you could never translate to screen. So like they do in the best way they can, but they have to like completely change it.
Okay.
Yeah, because in the book it's more she becomes like an animal. Like they lock her in the attic and it says she like gets down on all fours and like doesn't speak anymore, and it's like a really creepy
Weird.
idea, but it would probably look silly in live
Well, that's
action.
kind of what they do at the very end with her.
Yeah, she
It-
does kind of become animal-like when she starts like drinking out of a bowl at one point.
No, they do
Was it?
that, but they like merge her with the kids, so it's like she's
Okay.
more of a creature in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, she just becomes like a dog.
Are alpacas such a big part of the book?
No, they have a horse farm.
That's just like a downgrade.
I feel like that's one of those things that was chosen because they knew Nick Cage was going to be the lead, and that's just inherently funny.
Yeah, I mean Nick Cage has an alpaca farm. That's gold. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. We should probably mention though the director of this, Richard Stanley. This was like his first film in over a decade, directing, anyways, because he was the director for the Island of Dr. Moreau remake with Brando, and then there was a ton of issues with it, and he gets fired
That's right.
and replaced. And he snuck onto set and is an extra in the final film.
Interesting. Is that all? That's also an adaptation, right? But not Lovecraft.
No, that's H.G. Wells.
Okay, interesting. I honestly I didn't know that, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Um, this is kind of an underlooked film of 2020.
Well, and this was supposed to start a new trilogy of H.P. Lovecraft adaptations, and then it completely bombed. But I feel like at this point it's like a cult classic, where the people who know it really like it, but not a ton of
Yeah.
people saw it. Which
Well, I
is fair.
remember.
There's not a ton of mainstream appeal to this movie, I don't think.
No.
But
I mean, I remember hearing buzz about this when it came out, but it wasn't mainstream buzz. It was more kind of that cult audience.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. It was like Lovecraft fans and Nicolas Cage fans.
Exactly.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first semi big Lovecraft adaptation since like the Reanimator films, right?
For big ones, probably.
I'd say so.
I know
Yeah.
there's probably like a slew of like, you
Oh,
know,
there absolutely is. There's even a black and white color out of space too.
interesting.
I know there's a Call of Cthulhu movie, but that's like super low budget. Like I think a fan film.
Yeah, and there's one that's called Dagon, but it's actually an adaptation of Shadow over Innsmouth and not Dagon. So yeah, there's a ton
Interesting.
of
Well, I
Lovecraft
guess
films.
wouldn't In the Mouth of Madness be after Reanimator?
That's not technically Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's just kind of like
Okay. Just
yeah,
Lovecraft inspired.
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
now that we've got a little bit of a preamble out of the way, Austin, describe this movie. Like summarize this movie.
Uh, okay, Nicolas Cage is the father of a family that lives on an alpaca farm, and then a meteor lands in their alpaca farm, and the meteor is filled with this mysterious color that is an alien. Um, because from my understanding, Lovecraft like hated the idea of humanoid aliens, where it's like aliens come down and they're just people.
Mhm.
So he was like, if an alien were to exist, it would be something completely crazy, like a color that you like can't even understand. So the color gets out and it spreads across the land and into the water, and it infects everything, and people start going crazy. Meanwhile, a guy named after H.P. Lovecraft is investigating the water, and either Cheech or Chong, I can never remember which, lives in the woods.
It's Trong, I think.
Oh, okay. I always get the two of them confused, so
Yeah.
I'm always like, is Cheech or Chong in The Lion King? One of them is in The Lion King, and I don't know which.
I forgot that in this movie his name was Ezra. That was funny. Were you watching that?
Yeah, when he's got a cat that I think is supposed to be a reference to Lovecraft's
Oh
cat.
yeah. Yeah.
Not
Well,
in that it has that name, but they gave it like a
yeah.
vulgar name, which I
They
assume is a reference.
There's no way they could give it that name.
Yeah, exactly. But here it's just called G Spot. But I think that's supposed to be a reference. I don't know.
I can see it.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, and then basically they just all go crazy and things happen. The color infects everyone, everyone dies, except for H.P. Lovecraft because he has to tell the story.
So is the color, because I know there's kind of a greater like HP Lovecraft story. I've really got to read some HP Lovecraft. Like it's on my list. I just haven't gotten around to it. But is the color like part of the greater HP Lovecraft mythology that you know of?
I don't think so. I don't think it's connected to any of that. It's just here's an alien that landed in this farm, but it's also right next to Arkham, which I know comes back in other stories.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
Because
like within that mythos.
if I have one complaint with this movie is I think some of it is too vague. Like they don't establish any kind of rules for this alien. I don't understand how each. The only people that I understand how they get infected is the mom and son because they get like zapped by that beam.
Mhm.
I still don't know what happens to the son. Like he goes down in that well for a dog, and then you just hear screaming, and he's dead.
Which is taken out of the short story. They say he goes for water at the well and then never comes back.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it just kind of follows that like Lovecraft rule of just insanity and things you can't understand, which is sometimes hard to showcase in a movie when you're supposed to have rules.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so it sounds like maybe at least with that specific thing, it's too close to the book, so it doesn't work as well in a different medium because when you're seeing it, it's like what's going on. Whereas in like a novel, you can just say, oh, they left and they never came back, and you can imagine what happened to them versus seeing it. And it's like, wait, what?
I assume he's just kind of
Yeah.
obliterated like the other characters at the end,
Oh,
where the
maybe.
color just
Yeah.
absorbed him.
I kind of
Maybe.
like the fact that the rules aren't very clear. And that's something that I think that this movie, I haven't seen a lot of Lovecraft adaptations, but based on like the other ones I know of, like that Cthulhu one I'd mentioned earlier, I think this probably is the most successful at like bringing the Lovecraftian horror to a visual medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Bringing that
agree with
kind of
that.
like existential dread and like horror and just like the idea. I've always liked the idea of like Lovecraftian monsters not being generic like aliens or like any monsters like that, but they're monsters that like are completely incomprehensible to the human like at any understanding. Like you'd go insane like if you ever encountered them in real life.
Mhm. Yeah, because I feel like that idea on film has been done better in works that just kind of are inspired by Lovecraft as opposed to direct adaptations. Before this, stuff like The Thing, where it's like the creature's
Yeah.
constantly shifting and there's no real, like, this is what it is.
And
And
there's a
some
few shots in this that really make me think of The Thing,
same here,
Mhm.
especially
especially with
with
the
like the
alpacas.
alpacas. Exactly.
Specifically, the part where they milk the alpacas.
Oh god.
That reminded me of a different movie. And then he just
Nick Cage,
drinks it like straight out of the.
That's one of the best
who did
Nicolas
it
Cage
better?
moments in this movie when he's like, "You gotta be careful with, you gotta be gentle when you're touching the boob."
So
Who did it better, Nick Cage or Luke Skywalker?
Nick
Definitely Nick
Cage.
Cage. That's so weird.
So speaking of Nick Cage, he's the best. He's like the best part of this movie, right? Like he's acting circles around everyone
Absolutely.
else.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's just the case with Nick Cage movies now because he's in a lot of more like indie things where like the other actors will typically be fine or like they'll be pretty good to like okay in most of his movies now, but he always like pushes it up really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely in the middle of a Nick Cage renaissance.
Mhm.
I was talking to John earlier about like this is from what I've seen, this is one of the better Nicolas Cage movies to come out in recent years. There's others that I've heard a lot of buzz about, like Mandy. I haven't had the chance to watch that yet, and like
Well, I feel like this and that are probably the start of the like Nick Cage renaissance.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you
yeah,
get like
and
Pig and
you got Pig, and then
Mhm.
the massive talent movie that came out last year.
Hmm.
And I'm great. I'm very glad that like he's in a place right now where he's not just taking any role that he has to just because he needs to get paid, but he's
Yeah,
more picking projects that he's interested in and like actually cares about.
yeah. No, and you can tell he's having so much fun doing the insanity stuff in this,
Yeah,
where he's doing an impression of his a Kiss from a Vampire voice.
yeah, the Vampire's Kiss
Or
character.
Vampire's Kiss, yeah.
That's his dad, I guess. It's like he
Mhm.
does an impression of his dad at the beginning, and then you see him like slip into that voice throughout the film because, like, I guess he's being influenced by like the color or something like that
Mhm.
So
to
yeah,
become his dad.
I meant to ask about that because I was also when I was watching, I was like, why is he like? I missed that they had set that up with like him using that voice to mimic his dad. So I was like,
Yeah.
why does he keep randomly like slipping into this accent? Like, I know it's Nick
Yeah.
Cage, but
I think if you miss that, that definitely can take you out of the movie, especially if you're not used to Nick Cage or you don't really like Nick Cage. But
Oh,
I don't know.
100%.
I love it. I don't know if
I
it's
love
a
it.
good or
But I
bad
was just like, that was
performance,
a
but
choice.
it's definitely a choice. Yeah. I mean, some of my favorite parts of the movie is when he's like, just get the fuck out of my way.
That's maybe my favorite Nick Cage line delivery of all time is when he's like, "Why don't you just get the fuck out of my face, Levitica? Or better yet, why don't I get the fuck out of yours?"
Get the fuck out of yours. It's so good.
I so obviously, this is kind of a slow burn, like, this family slowly going mad. Were you sad to see any of this? Like, were you sad to see any of the characters eventually succumb to the color, basically?
Yeah, I think it's sad seeing the characters go through that. They're not like the most uh I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word.
Fleshed
Like
out.
They're not well developed. At
yeah, they're not
least in
like the
my
most developed characters in the world, but like
yeah.
I have like a general like, oh, that's too bad. This
The one,
woman's now a dog creature with her little kid.
Yeah.
the one that got me is the sister because she almost made it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I had
And I'm
forgotten
sad when
she
Nick
died.
Cage dies.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
Nick
mean,
Cage.
of course. I
Mhm.
mean, I think that's one of my big issues with the movie is that I don't think the characters are really that well developed. I mean, there's enough there where like I can still sympathize with them, but it's like at the end of the day, they're just kind of like just an average family that just dies because of some unexplained cosmic event. And I mean, it's sad, and that's definitely what the movie's going for. But it's like, I kind of wanted a little bit more out of the actual characters.
Mhm. Yeah, they kind of fall into the like quirk category where it's like the daughter has like the weird Wiccan thing, which is just strange.
Yeah,
The older son is like a stoner. The mom is it like a real estate thing. I forget what it is exactly, but
I'm
she's
not
got, like her
sure. Yeah,
business, and she's constantly complaining about the bad Wi-Fi
yeah.
and how she's losing clients.
You gotta fix the dish,
I
and
love
then
that scene because he just goes like completely ape shit on
oh yeah,
vegetables.
the tomatoes. He's like slam dunk.
When he does the spin around.
Yeah, I love it. um, and then like the youngest son is kind of just the generic creepy kid in a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And then
they've all got like
Andor Chong is
yeah
is the creepy guy in the woods,
yeah he's
and
like
he knows about government secrets.
he's the creepy conspiracy guy that I felt a little bit had like a little bit of like he knew a bit too much of what was going on. I don't know exactly how to explain it.
Well, he
It
knew that
was
they were putting
strange.
colors in the water to turn the freaking alpacas
Yeah.
to
The
morph.
alpacas turned them into the thing.
So
Um,
I'm going to use that as a segue because that's I think the first big effect we have in this movie is the alpacas. How did you guys feel about the effects in this movie overall?
I
I
thought it
think
looked
they're pretty
great.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did really like how this movie looks. I think if it were on film, it might have like
Yeah.
it if it had that grid, it would look better. But I
Yeah.
really love the art direction of like the color that like bleeds into the background and stuff as the movie goes along. It's really cool looking.
So that's another thing I was gonna mention is that this movie looks a little too digital, and
Mhm.
I get it. It's a smaller budget movie, but like if it had more of that film grit, like I think it would fit this movie more tonally.
Mhm. No, from a certain to a certain degree, I think digital's kind of killed the independent film, independent horror
Yeah,
film like this
it,
visually.
for horror definitely I can see that,
Hmm.
but the actual magenta like purple effects I think would look really they're really effective.
Yeah, and there's a ton
Um,
of CGI, and I don't think any of it really takes me out. I think it.
yeah, I think a little bit at the end when everything's falling apart, I was kind of like, I don't
Mhm.
know. Like some of this looks a little fake, but it was nothing that killed it for me.
Yeah,
Just
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Austin and I have had this discussion with like Terrifier 2, for example, where that movie would benefit greatly from film.
Yeah, because it
Um,
looks like a YouTube skit.
it's
we
like a
gotta wait.
college humor video.
We gotta make
Exactly.
we gotta make Torgo watch that one of these days.
I've seen the first Terrifier, but I'll watch the second one eventually.
2 is
Get
better
ready, because it's like 3.5 hours.
That's one of the things that was holding me back from watching it. It's like, why is it that long?
because we have to put in more
Yes,
kills. Damn it!
Okay.
because people complain that there were no characters in the first film. So you need that time to have characters. God damn it.
just just make characters in 90 minutes.
No.
um Although speaking of length, that's another issue I have with this movie is that I do maybe not so much length, but pacing wise, I feel like near the end or like kind of a little bit in the middle, this movie starts to drag a little bit. I don't know if you guys also had that.
I didn't,
Um,
but I can understand that. I
yeah,
think I
I
felt that the first time I saw it, and then, like John said, the more I see it, um, the more the
yeah.
kind of flaws kind of bleed out.
I think
yeah
I enjoyed this more a second time overall, but I still have like a little bit of problems with it overall.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
I don't
I mean,
know
it's
if
definitely not a perfect
pacing
movie.
I don't know if pacing is a problem so much as it's just like you're seeing all the stuff happening without really understanding why it's happening. So I think that can lead to some of the pacing feeling off because they're trying to be vague but maybe overly vague in some ways.
Well,
Um
and I was just thinking about it too. Obviously, like, because I didn't really have that, but I'm just trying to get into that mindset. But I wonder too if it's maybe that thing where you take a short story, and spread it out to a full length movie. Where the book, there's a lot of
Yeah.
like, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. But in a movie, you have to spread that out a little bit more. So I wonder if maybe
Yeah.
that's part of it.
I mean, I don't know if I have that just because I've never read the original story,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, for sure.
I can kind of see someone having that problem with it.
well, and
Mhm.
it's interesting that you mentioned that because I don't know if I've ever told you about this, Austin, but I had the opposite with Reanimator. When I read the short story, I was like, this is so much more like boring than the movie.
For Reanimator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
from what a
that's
little
because they
of
made like a schlock movie out of Reanimator.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read Reanimator, but there's no way that it's at all like what the movie is.
It is nothing like
The only thing I know about Reanimator is it has that like really uncomfortable line about where he sees a dead black person, and the description of it's really unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard about that, yeah.
That's
I
all I know about that.
I really like what I've read of Lovecraft, but I kind of have this thing of where I think I'm more in love with his ideas than like the execution of his stories because I've read Call of Cthulhu and The Rats in the Walls, I think it's called, and like I like the idea of them being kind of personal accounts, like they're in the form of letters that someone's written, but for whatever reason, I think maybe it's the old way it's written. I just couldn't really get into either of them.
Well, Lovecraft has like a very just like old way of writing that's even older than when he was actually writing, that makes his work feel like it came from an earlier time than it actually did.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I think
I
I more respect like the man's creativity and his ideas than like how he writes his stories. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
no, I definitely have some of that. Even reading Color Out of Space, it's very and then I heard this happen, and then that happened,
Yeah.
and it's really good. And there's some like really creepy ideas in it, but it is a little like this isn't super engaging in how it's executed.
I
Yeah, it's
have
like
that with
I'd
Edgar
like to
Allan
have
Poe.
characters here, but
Yeah, I have that with Edgar Allan Poe. I've tried to read The Raven like 3 times and I just can't get into it.
That's because it's a poem, you fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I've tried a
that's at
couple of
least
other
probably a
stories.
shorter read.
It is, but it's just like I don't know. I like this, and I like stuff that pull like that atmosphere from these stories, but like I don't like the story.
Watch the Simpsons adaptation of The Raven.
You showed it to me.
I know, but every
Watch it
time you're like,
again.
I want to, yeah, just watch it again.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. This is a hard movie to talk about because like there's a lot to it, but at the same time, I feel like a lot is like just summed up as weird shit happens. Like
I mean,
it's
that, in my opinion, I think is what makes it succeed as a Lovecraft adaptation.
no,
Seems like weird shit
absolutely.
happens.
It's. I mean, I've only seen 3 Lovecraft adaptations. Well, I don't know. Austin, are we going to count the Reanimator sequels as like Lovecraft adaptations when it's not
Probably
really?
not. Do you count Pet Cemetery 2 as a Stephen King adaptation?
No, but at least like with Reanimator, you still have like that central character from the book
Hmm.
because it's still Herbert West.
I
Yeah, and you
still
still have the
wouldn't.
Pet Cemetery.
I
That's not
still
a
wouldn't count it
character.
because it's
Okay.
like someone else adding on to it. But
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Well, it's
I've
the same as like the Frankenstein sequels with Universal. It's like, at what point do these actually count as adaptations?
mhm.
true, yeah.
So I mean, I've seen 2 Lovecraft adaptations, and then obviously other stuff that is inspired by it. I've told Austin this many times. In the Mouth of Madness is my favorite Carpenter film, and that's very Lovecraft without being Lovecraft.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Um,
The Thing has that too.
Mm-hmm.
like John Carpenter, just make a H.P. Lovecraft like adaptation. I want to see it.
He should do a Cthulhu movie. That would be awesome.
With Kurt Russell as Cthulhu. It would be
Yeah.
awesome.
But overall, I like that this is. I mean, if I had to say it's anything thematically wise, I guess it's kind of just like an examination of a family going through trauma. Because it does start out with like the wife having surgery, like that's why they're at the cabin. But I mean that's kind of also pulling it
At the
like straight
cabin.
at the farm.
The farm.
Well, they just live on a farm.
The farm
Well, no,
in the
they
woods.
moved there because she had that surgery.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You just watched it.
I know, but then I read the short story after.
You watched it like 4 times.
I watched it a few hours
4 hours.
ago. Leave me
So
alone, goddamn it.
Noah, do you have anything else you'd like to add or any final thoughts?
Nothing really new, just my final thoughts. I really like the movie. I like the Lovecraftiness of it. I like the whole cosmic horror stuff in it. It's very well executed for what it is. I just have some issues with like pacing and like character development here and there. So yeah, no, but overall it's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm sad we'll never see the rest of that trilogy.
Especially,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
it kind of makes the ending of this like age really poorly, right?
I
Would they?
I don't know they would have been connected.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
would
so
they be
you think it'd be
connected, or
more like thematic trilogy?
Well, I think it was
Yeah.
just like a trilogy of Lovecraft adaptations.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Because
like it would have been a trilogy in that sense, but
I always
not
thought
like
that's why they went with that ending, post-apocalyptic, like setting him up to be.
No, that's kind of how the book ends. It's not like a post-apocalypse, but like the dialogue's very similar to the actual prose of the book.
Okay.
Because the ending is like straight out of the book, and I don't think it's like the world. It's just that that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sense I got from the movie too. Like, I don't think the world was affected by this, was it?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what
yeah,
I
you're
think.
probably right, but I just figured, you do a sequel, you could say, oh, it's spread,
Maybe, yeah.
Or it's like, oh
We're never gonna
no,
see it though.
the color woke up Cthulhu.
Cthulhu is
Well, and
magenta.
that
in
same
this.
Austin, I don't know if you had this thought because I don't know if you've seen it, but that same year we also had that movie with Kristen Stewart where they're like underwater.
Oh yeah.
But no, they're not the same year.
Those were both 2020.
This isn't 2020.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was.
Yeah, this was a 2020 movie.
No way. Oh,
Yeah, it
no.
is. It is 2020. Yeah.
No way.
It was released in festivals in 2019 and it came to Shudder in mass markets in 2020.
Mm, damn. I
Yeah.
I swear I saw this in 2019.
Part of me thought this was a 2018 movie, but
I mean,
Yeah,
the only
is
way
that
no,
recent.
so did I.
the only way you could have seen it in 2019 is if you were at one of those festivals.
But I wasn't.
The Twilight Zone.
This is legitimately messing with my brain.
It was an out of body experience.
I feel like I got Lovecraft.
Yeah,
Lovecrafted.
your
You've
spirit
been
was at the
struck by a
festival.
smooth Lovecraft.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wait for him to look it up and cope.
No, I'm looking at it, and it's just, I'm in utter disbelief.
But anyway, my point was, it's crazy to me that we got this and that in the same year. I don't know if did you watch that Kristen Stewart movie?
Yeah, it was very like.
Do you remember the ending?
Yeah, you have like, the Meg or whatever shows up.
Cthulhu shows up.
Yeah,
That
And
was
he's like-
wild.
and
Like
he's
straight
like,
up actual Cthulhu.
No, yeah, it's just straight up Cthulhu.
"I'll get you, my pretty."
No, ignore him. But no, yeah,
the color has awoken you.
well, I'm just saying those two movies could have been connected. They're both Lovecraft.
And then Doctor
yeah.
Strange can come in and fight both of them.
Oh yeah,
It would
That'd be
be cool to
awesome.
get an honest to God like Cthulhu movie, right? Like, I feel like he's mostly
Yeah.
adapted in video games.
well, and 'cause I've never read it, but you said you read it, Noah. Is he in At the Mountains of Madness? Isn't that connected? Or no, you said
oh.
Call of Cthulhu.
No, yeah, I haven't read At the Mountains of Madness.
Okay,
I've
never
read,
mind.
I read Call of Cthulhu, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it is definitely strange. I mean, the Lovecraft stuff exists in that like public domain hellhole where it's like it goes into public domain and just nobody uses it.
Yeah. I think my favorite Lovecraft adaptation is when Cthulhu showed up in South Park for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I played that Call of Cthulhu game for PS4 and I got the worst ending.
I still
Not
gotta
like
play that.
not the, like the game like the game's ending was bad, but like my ending was like my character went insane. Cthulhu like destroyed the world. I'm like my guy was like eating people on a beach.
I mean, sounds like something that would happen in a Lovecraft story.
I know, but you can like win in that game.
Then it's not really. It has to have a nihilistic ending.
Exactly. So I got that at least, I guess. But
I've still got to play that. Did you like that game?
yeah, it's okay. It's like it's nothing special, but it's all right.
Yeah, it looked like a kind of just a mid budget.
Hmm. Yeah, it is, and I had fun with it for like the little bit I played of it. It's not a very long game.
Yeah. So Austin, any final thoughts about Color Out of Space?
No, because my final thought was just I'm sad that I'm not getting that trilogy. So that's it.
Oh, should I give my rating? Completely forgot.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So my final thoughts are just Nick Cage is wonderful in this movie. I love the special effects. I wish there was more body horror, because like we get the kid and the parent fusing, but like because I'm assuming because of budget reasons they can't show much. And I love body horror in films.
What they do show is pretty creepy.
It is.
It's
And
disgusting.
it's what I love about body horror, right? It's like it's just a chance to let your special effects supervisor go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And this really nails that. I thought the daughter was the best character outside of Nick Cage, just like being Nick Cage.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that might also just be because like I was legitimately sad to see her succumb to the color, where I didn't care with any of the others.
Do you think Lovecraft is rolling in his grave at the fact that he's played by a black man in this?
Oh, yes. That's right.
That was really funny. All right, so Torgo, since you wanted to so badly, give us your final score.
My final score is 3.5 out of 5. I like it, but I don't love it.
Austin.
I will give this movie a 9
out of 5.
Yeah, no, I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
I am also going to give it a 4 out of 5. You know, it's been a while since we've had a 5 out of 5 contender. It's been a while.
You guys have to start doing good movies then.
Well, I think we just haven't been doing a lot of reviews.
No, that is also true.
I've been busy. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told you, Austin, but we're kind of just like we're just basically just doing it whenever we have time to.
Yeah,
instead of like
that's the way to do it. You don't get burned out.
Yeah, instead of like we have to do this every week.
You gotta the content machine goes brrr.
Go brrr.
I'm pulling up our 5 out of 5 list. The last one we did was Night of the Living Dead. That was the last 5 out of 5.
Night of the Living Fred is on the 5 list.
Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
don't worry, Austin. When we review Night of the Living Fred, it will be on there.
Oh, no. 100%. We will get that on the 5 list.
That was. Torgo, you want to hear something crazy? That was 9 months ago.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. It's a long time. Jeez.
Yeah.
So all for Shutter Shuffle, do you guys like roll a die now? How does that work?
I'm glad you asked that because we're actually going to transition into everyone's favorite part of Shutter Shuffle. If you have the stream,
not mine.
If you have the stream up, it's going to transition to a wheel with all of the movies that we have left for this season of Shutter Shuffle, and we are going to spin the wheel.
Oh yeah, didn't I put movies on the wheel?
Last season? Yeah. You gave us Orgasmo, remember?
That's right. Oh. You gave us one of my least favorite movies we reviewed that season.
I'm sorry.
All right, is everybody ready?
Good movies on here.
Yeah, this has been a good season. Is everyone ready for the wheel to be spun?
Oh, I thought it was already spinning. I was like, why is your wheel so fucking slow?
All right, let's go.
Like, is it gonna stop?
Oh, and we've got popcorn.
Oh, cool.
This was another.
Out of everything, you got popcorn.
This was another Torgo pick. I don't know
Oh,
anything
I'm sorry.
about.
I don't even know what that is. But
I don't know anything about this movie.
It's a blind pick. I just saw it on Shudder. I read the description. I thought it looked interesting.
I mean, I can't say anything because that's how I picked Orgasmo.
So
this
will be like a litmus test of whether or not I go by that method again of picking movies.
Yeah, there's some sweet stuff on your guys' list, like Exorcist 3, Phenomena.
I'm so excited to do.
I've never
Exorcist
seen,
Beyond.
and I've never seen Exorcist 3. Wait,
It's pretty sweet.
You've seen From Beyond?
No, I've been meaning to, but it looks cool.
You have to be there for that one.
Do I?
Yeah.
That's another Lovecraft.
Yeah, and it's from the director of Reanimator.
Yeah.
And it's got what's his name? The Reanimator.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
No, the Reanimator.
I'm blanking on his name too. What the hell?
My mind went to George McFly, and I don't know why.
Wayne from Deep Space Nine.
Ratchet from Transformers Prime.
Scarecrow from Batman.
The hell is that guy's name?
He was Brainiac in Injustice 2. This is really end the stream.
Jeffrey
This is so
Combs.
embarrassing.
Jeffrey Combs. Damn
Jeffrey
it.
Combs. But it's got Jeffrey Combs and the cop from Dawn of the Dead.
Isn't that also Barbara Crampton in it too?
It does.
Wait,
So that movie,
which cop from Dawn of the Dead?
All of them.
The one that goes when there's no more room in hell, the devil walk the earth. Ken Foree.
Ken Foree, yeah. I like him.
He's awesome. That movie's awesome. It might be better than Reanimator. I'm not sure, but it's good.
Yeah. We did Reanimator last time, so I think that's why we picked it this time.
Yeah, and this fraud over here hadn't seen it until like a month ago.
Yeah. I started it like a year ago, watched like 10 minutes, and then fell asleep. And then I finally watched it for real.
Did you like
that?
that?
Bitch.
I forgot. Did you like it? Because I feel like that'd be right up your alley.
Yeah, it was really good.
Hell yeah, I love that movie.
And it's very schlocky, but I really enjoyed it.
It's like the perfect kind of schlock. Yeah. And now we're just reviewing Reanimator because that's a better movie. But yeah, Austin, as always, it was a pleasure to have you on to talk movies. It's been a minute since I've gotten to voice chat with him because he's been so busy.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm on vacation. I just got back today.
Yeah. But we will be back soon. We're not going to put any dates on when we do these, but the next time we will come back, it will be for popcorn. Austin, as always, open invitation. How does it feel to be a co-founder of the channel? Like, we started this.
No, sir. I was in episode 2.
Episode 2 was a reboot, so like you started it.
But you don't say Daisy Ridley started Star Wars.
Well, because she didn't reboot. That's like a soft. That's like a sequel. That's like a sequel.
Okay, then you don't say. What's his name? Nightmare on Elm Street. My mind went to Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I don't know why.
Robert Englund?
No, the reboot one. Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Also has 3 names. Like I'm tired. I just got back.
My favorite actor to play Rorschach.
We're gonna go out there. Austin can say what he wants, but he helped co-found the channel, and I'm eternally grateful for him for getting my interest back in this and kind of shaping it into what it was.
It wasn't him.
Actually.
And
we will be back next time with popcorn.